Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an abbreviated edition of 3IP, aka the Third Intermission Podcast, your source for hockey and blackness all together all at once. This is your boy Dave signing on for this quick episode. Of course, you can check us out wherever you get your podcasts from, and you can also check us out on our socials at Toronto Third, both at Twitter and at Instagram, and you can also see us on Blue Sky as well. Really quickly here, we do want to recap a few things. Of course, starting with the Canucks beef between JT Miller and Elias Peterson. New York Rangers Matt Rempe getting 8 games for a very dangerous hit to the head. And we also have a Leafs and Scepters recap really quickly here. So let me break things down for you one time and try and get things going before we end off this great week before we go to Christmas. If you're listening to this on Christmas Day, Merry Christmas, y'all, and hope you all are having a great holiday. Of course, I'm enjoying it with some Baileys and some coffee, so wagwan real quick. All right, so of course, let's get to the major news. Major news right now. The NHL had a hearing on a dirty hit that Matt Rempe had decided to take on Dallas's Miro Heiskanen on Friday nights during Friday night's loss. Of course, the NHL today had officially announced that Matt Rempe has officially been given an 8-game suspension for elbowing Heiskanen in the back of his head. Of course, this isn't the first time Rempe has gotten himself in trouble from any of these particular situations. Of course, homeboy had gotten himself 71 penalty minutes last season, and of course was a focal point for the New York Rangers when it came to fighting and when it came to just him drawing penalties. Of course, this kid has basically gone the ways of old school hockey and decided that being a goon would be the best course of action for him. Of course, I don't necessarily agree with it, but again, at the end of the day, I mean, if he's making his money, he's making his money. But essentially, he is going to get himself hurt at one point or another, and one swift elbow to the head or one swift punch to the head. So, ideally speaking, this kid's really building up a reputation for himself. Ideally speaking, it's not that great of a reputation, but again, who are we to judge in this case here? It is what it is with him. But he will be eligible to come back in the new year. Rangers, of course, are currently hurting in this particular situation as they've officially traded a good number of players, including Capo Caco over the last couple games, and it has been nothing but a complete and utter fire sale in the New York Rangers organization. Of course, Chris Drury trying to withhold secrets from his organization, and it's just creating a massive rift between players and management. So that's another nightmare of a situation that we'll discuss next week. Heading over to Vancouver now. Vancouver, of course, going down to the Sharks going down towards a little bit of dissension here as they are two of their biggest stars, JT Miller and Elias Peterson, are currently beefing with one another. Of course, things are being downplayed within the media right now as both members are just trying to focus on what's going on in their locker room, and of course what's going on the ice, as Vancouver has had a very abysmal start to their season as of late. Of course, this didn't really help things when Vancouver went down to Ottawa 5-4 on Saturday night in overtime, and of course JT Miller and Peterson were both extremely upset and decided to go full on blast with the Canucks media. And of course, this has been drawing some of the ire of not only, say, Canucks fans, but also, say, some other hockey media personnel as well. Ideally speaking, if you're a Canucks fan right now, you're not liking the situation. You're also not liking the fact that two of your bigger stars are basically creating a very hostile situation right before the holidays start. And it's not necessarily easy for them to at least have another blip on the radar when it comes to their season. Of course, Miller, taking ownership of his poor play back on Saturday. Of course, he did kind of lose it a little bit here. and they have won, say, 3 of their last 10. Ideally speaking, though, the Canucks could use a bit of a break on Monday when they take on the Sharks. So hopefully things do turn around for Vancouver, and if not, then could we see some changes going on in Vancouver? You never know. Could Miller be traded? Could Peterson be traded? Who really knows at this situation? But it is very, very interesting going forward here. I mean, Vancouver does currently hold a wild card spot at this time, but ideally speaking, anything can happen in the NHL, especially when it comes to port play. So we're definitely going to keep an eye on things there, and we'll see how things go from there. Giving you your Leafs recap really quickly here. The Leafs will play Winnipeg on Monday for the Next Generation game at 2 p.m. at the Big Bank Arena. Then they'll be taking on the Red Wings on Friday, and then they'll be returning home to face the Capitals on Saturday. Looking at the past week, they did get a 6-3 victory over the Sabres, but ended up getting beaten by the save score against the Islanders back on Saturday night in Toronto. Of course, Bo Horvat ended up getting himself a solid 3 points, including a goal and 2 assists for the Leafs. William Nylander got himself 2 goals. Bobby McMahon ended up scoring for the Leafs. Joseph Wall was in net. There is a little bit of controversy because Matt Murray is slated to return to the Leafs lineup potentially within the next couple of days, as there is a bit of a goalie carousel. Of course, Anthony Stolar still down with an injury right now. Of course, back on Friday, the Leafs manhandled things very well. In fact, Matt Murray actually did end up getting his first NHL game since April of 2023. Managed to pick himself up a nice victory, making 24 saves on 27 shots. With the goals against average of 3. But it's nice to see Matt Murray finally be back in an NHL, back on an NHL rink, getting himself back to the place where he needs to be. And this could create a 1A, 1B, 1C type of situation, not only for the Leafs, but just for the Marlies in general, as Matt Murray has been on a rehab stint, and he's been showing that he has been on his game since getting back on the ice, and I'm really happy for him. So, of course, kudos to Matt Murray. Hopefully, he can get some solid minutes within the next little while. Of course, the Leafs have another back-to-back, both on Friday, this coming week, with Friday, of course. Like I said, Leafs will play Friday, and then the Leafs will play Saturday as well. They'll be in Detroit on Friday, and then they'll take on Washington in Toronto on Saturday night before finishing out the year against the Islanders on December the 31st. So we're going to be very excited for that, and hopefully Matt Murray can actually pick up some solid minutes there and hopefully get himself a much needed victory. As for the Toronto Scepters, they are, and I'm just pulling this up really, really quickly here, folks, before we end off this episode. The Toronto Scepters, of course, will be playing their next game as of Friday, December the 27th. They ended up losing to Montreal at Coca-Cola Coliseum back on Saturday by a 4-3 loss in overtime. Of course, it's nice to see that Toronto is still working towards getting a solid base of fans and everything. And ideally speaking, it's very fun hockey to watch. Of course, it would have been better if we got the W against Montreal back on Saturday, but you know what? It is what it is at this point. So only so much you can do, ideally speaking. Toronto's next game will be Friday night when they take on, and I'm just pulling this up here really quickly. Of course, I'm doing this on the fly right now. Never do an episode on the fly because it is a little bit unprofessional, but you know what? It is what it is at this point. This is how we normally do things. Toronto will be taking on Boston Friday night, and they will be finishing out 2024 by taking on the Ottawa Charge on December the 31st at Coca-Cola Coliseum as well. You can catch that game on Amazon Prime. You can also catch Boston and Toronto on TSN on Friday night as well. So, good things all around, and hopefully we can get more than just one W right now, as Toronto's currently sitting in the standings right now. Toronto is currently sitting dead last in the PW right now, sitting at 4 points. But things can definitively change as it's as much as it can in this situation. So lots of hockey left, lots of things to look forward to for the Toronto Scepters. Of course, it's only been 4 or 5 games for the Scepters right now. Like I said, things can turn on a dime, so you never know. Other than that, folks, we are going to end this off really quickly here. So thank you for letting me grace the space in between your head top. Of course, the original crew will be back, say, in the new year. Favor and I will be holding it down for the World Juniors, as we will be looking at World Junior content and getting you ready for what might potentially be another Canada-USA gold medal game. And of course, me flipping out about another Canada-USA gold medal game. So we'll look into that. Other than that, once again, thank you for listening. Catch us on the socials at Toronto Third, both on Twitter and on Instagram. You can catch us on Blue Sky as well. And you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts from. That is Spotify, Google, Apple, iHeartRadio, and Podbean. Until next time, make sure you drink your water, mind your business, and deuces. Merry Christmas, y'all.